Acts chapter number 20. What happened in Acts chapter number 19?
They died.
Turn that off.
They killed them.
Acts 19. What happened?
They died.
No, they did not die.
Alex so scared.
Alright, what did they do in Acts chapter?
19.
I'm about to look up. Today's my parents' anniversary.
Okay, since apparently you people do not know, I will tell you. There was a big, giant problem when Paul told the demonic woman, you are no longer demonic. And all the silversmiths and the woodsmiths and all the other smiths got together, the Smith clan, and said, this is the way we make our money. We sell silver goddesses to Diane. And these guys have come here, started up, they all went to the theater, and they started going, great as Diane, 2 hours. People don't even know why they're there. They're just in a rock concert mood, and they're just, they're rocking to Great is Diane for 2 hours. Must have been a tremendous song. I've heard Peter Frampton play 15 minutes. I've heard Leonard Skinner play 14 minutes. I've heard Led Zeppelin play 21 minutes. One song. This song went on for 2 hours. Great, and they only had a simple lyric. Great is the goddess of Diane. 2 hours. They are chanting this song. There's no lyrics. But apparently, the people, they thought it was a great hit. Paul's going to go speak. The people talk him out of it and say, Paul, listen, you're a very spiritual man. You can tell us about a lot of spiritual things. But let me tell you this. You're also crazy. You want to go out there and preach to these people, and they're going to kill you. You're going to die. You're going to die. Even a preacher has to be told no. You know why? Because you don't know everything. Not even preachers know everything. He had to be told, no. Do not go out there. You're going to make it worse. Luckily, he had enough sense and enough God that he actually believed his friends and believed God that he would die. And he said, you know what? I don't think I'm going out there. Now, most preachers are not that way. They see 20,000 people. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to go preach. Because they've asked me to preach, so I'm going to preach. But Paul, being persuaded, said, no, I ain't going to do it. I ain't going to do it. Chapter number 20. That ended chapter 19, by the way. We are really moving along since August. We're already in December, and we're almost finished with the whole book. And after the uproar was ceased, Paul called unto them the disciples and embraced them, and departed for the good unto Macedonia. Why'd he go? For the good. Why? Nobody wanted wants him there. He's causing too many problems. You know, there are guys that are good at preaching and telling you about the Lord and how to get saved, but they cannot deal with you. I know this one man, great with kids when he's preaching. Tremendous. He'll get up there, 20 kids will get saved. But when the 20 kids are finished getting saved, guess what? He's horrible with children. I mean, this guy is horrible. He can't stand them. He doesn't like them. He just, I mean, the kids, they feel the reaction that this man doesn't like them. Why? He's got a bad personality. Paul's the same way. He's got that kind of personality that he can preach. You can feel the love of God. You can feel the love of the preacher. You can feel how you need to get saved. You'll get saved, but you don't want Paul living in your house for a while. All the time. Because guess what's going to happen? Friction. Friction is going to happen. And when he had gone over these parts, he came there with much extortion. He came to Greece. Went 3 months, and when the Jews laid wait for him, he was about to sail to Syria. He purposed to return to Macedonia. He goes back. They're accompanying him Asia. He went to a bunch of other towns. There's about 5 or 6 different villages mentioned. Verse number 5, he tarried us at Terrace. We then sailed to Philippi. I mean, this guy is just going around tour. He's going from place to place. He's preaching place to place. He is busy. Busy, going around, preaching, going around, telling others about Christ. And upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them, ready to depart tomorrow, and continued his speech until midnight. Apparently, he hasn't preached long enough. And so he decides what the people really need is a good, long sermon. Now, I will listen to a man for a long time if it's interesting. And then there are some preachers that other preachers think are fascinating. They are on the edge of every word that they say. And they listen. This is great stuff. Did you hear what he just said? Good stuff. While the guy next to you is going, you know why? He thinks he's the most boring preacher in the world. It depends on who's the one that's listening. Usually the guy that's listening doesn't need it. He just doesn't need it. He doesn't heard it all. But the guy that's asleep, well, the devil said, I think you're tired, and I think you need a nap. That's what you need. You need a nap. You need to go to sleep. I think you need to take a little nap right now. And so Paul begins to preach. And there were many lights in the upper chamber where they were gathered together. They're upstairs. He's preaching. Imagine us all upstairs preaching, and the children are sitting by the window, and there was a certain young man named this guy with the big E, began falling into a deep sleep. Why is he sleeping? The man of God is preaching. Why is he falling asleep? Because he's preaching till midnight. He's had all he can stand. He's had a hard day. I don't know what his excuse was, but whatever it Brother Farley, 4 people got saved that morning. I said, Brother Farley, I said, let me tell you, that was the most boringest message that I have ever heard you preach. I said, I love your messages. I love the way you preach. I said, but I was bored. I was in tears. I mean, I was so sleepy. How did 4 people get saved? There's no way it is impossible for these people to get saved while I'm asleep. Why did they get saved? And he looked at me and said, that's because God doesn't need you. And that is to remind the preacher that God really don't need you. He can save. He can use anybody. You say, no, I don't believe that. Baal's ass. He used a donkey. And the donkey talked. I'm telling you, God can use anybody. So Paul's preaching. This guy falls asleep. Because Paul was long preaching. Long. You know what long means? He won't shut up. He refuses to shut up. There's no cutting point. There's no point where he finally says, I think they've had enough. They're not paying attention to me anymore. I think this right about here, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Shut this thing down. Now, not Paul. And he sunk down with sleep. Sunk down means he's falling asleep. He's laying on the window. That's a bad idea. Because they didn't have window seals back in them days. They just had a big hole. That was considered a window back in them days. And fell down from the 3rd loft. 3 stories. The kid falls down. Boom. 3 lofts. And was taken up, would you believe this? Dead. Dead. You say, why? Well, listen to the preacher. He wasn't taking the words of the preacher seriously. He was more concerned about, what am I going to do next? Where are we going? What are we going to do? I mean, I'm hungry. I want to go out to get something to eat. Maybe we'll go bowling. Maybe we'll go see a movie. Maybe we'll go do this. Maybe we'll go do that. He's thinking about fun stuff. Maybe he's thinking about, he's thinking about his warm bed. I'm tired and I really want to go to bed. That's all I care about is just going to bed because I'm really tired. I'm tired. You know how hard I've worked today. And I'm tired. Well, he's dead now. You don't have to worry about being tired no more. Kid's dead. That's a horrible story, don't you think? Sounds pretty horrible. Good thing the story don't end there. And Paul went down and fell on him. The preacher got on top of the kid. He fell on him. Now, to me, he slowly got on his knees and laid his hands across his hands. Now, Elijah did that, sneezed, and he took breath. And the breath came, and he was alive. But that ain't Paul's style. Paul went down and fell on him. He saw the kid. The doctor doctor's going, it's over, game's done, he's dead. And he jumps. Paul falls over and jumps on this little kid. All right? He's got 3 broken ribs now. All right? No, he didn't have 3 broken ribs. But he could have had. All right? I'm talking about Paul fell on the kid. He fell down, fell on him, embraced him. You know what embracing? That's as close as you can get. I mean, that's as close as you can get. I mean, husband and wife, besides bedroom, I mean, that's about as close as you can get, embracing somebody. He's holding on to this kid tight. And he said, trouble not yourselves, for his life is in him. When he therefore was come up again, and had broken bread, and eaten and talked a long while, even till the break of day, so he departed. You know what happened? And they brought the young man alive, and were not a little comforted. The kid lived. He lived. You would think by now Paul would get the hint. It's time to quit preaching. Now, he's doing an all-nighter. I did an all-nighter one time. Of course, it wasn't just me preaching. We had every pastor that was sent out from Shady Acres to go preach. Hector Cantu was one. Brother Ellie was one. Brother Joe Pillow was one. Me, Phil, and Brother Roy, Brother Victor. They kicked off the meeting. Brother Victor and Brother Roy. And they kicked off the meeting. They left. The majority of the group left. And we had a 24-hour service. We brought McDonald's hamburgers to Shady Acres. Then we brought cake. Miss Carol gave us cake. We all shouted the victory. People were falling asleep on the altar. We would, let's sing a song, and we're all singing a song, glory to the Lord. Da, 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 da. It's Christmas time. So we're all singing, and then we're preaching, and then we're giving invitations. Let's all come down and pray for the president. We can go pray for the president and the government and for our soldiers and everything. I had every list of anybody that you could think of to pray for. All right, we're going to pray for the mayor. We're going to pray for the prisoners in jail. We're going to pray for whoever, I had a whole list. I had a list of all the people we're going to pray for. So finally, Brother Farley says, do you want me to do what? I said, I want you to be the last preacher. And I want you to preach. He said, what do you want me to preach on? I said, I don't care. Reprimand us, tell us we're all crazy. Whatever you want to preach, I don't care. The majority, at least 90%, made it. We lost a few. All right? I mean, they fell asleep. They were gone. Gone. But we made it. And Brother Farley gets up and he preaches and he says, well, I just like to tell you that y'all people are crazy. And he said, but I believe God is going to help you. Maybe not give you what you want, but it's going to bless your lives because of the desires of your heart. And during those days were the days of, we had a desire and we didn't care. We just had a fast. Brother Farley just had another fast. Brother Lindsay said, let's all fast. So we all did. My wife fasted. I fasted. I don't know how many other people fasted. I called Brother Farley. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm fasting. I said, I'm fasting too. My wife's fasting. Because we wanted to know God. People were willing to listen to a man preach all night long until it got morning. One preacher. I don't think they had singing. I don't think they had invitations. I'm thinking one preacher and one preacher only. And again, I believe there were some that actually listened to every word and got a real blessing out of it. And there were other people that were listening, and all they cared about was, I'm ready to go to sleep. I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to do something. I'm ready to have some fun. I'm sick of the preacher just talking. I mean, it's daylight. Look, he started preaching last night. It was dark. I remember stars. There were stars and this big moon. And now there's this big sun up in the air. I don't know why he's preaching so long. You had those. You had that bunch. But then you had the bunch that just said, I wonder how much longer he's got to live. I think about all them old men. I don't know how many times I was criticized for, we still support old preachers. And there's a couple old preachers we still support. And they said, well, why are you supporting? I said, because if nothing else, I know one thing about them old men. They're going to pray for me. They're going to pray for me. Them younger preachers, I'm not too sure. But them old preachers, I know one thing. They're going to pray for me. See, the problem with this generation is that you don't have the desire of wanting to serve God that much. To listen to a preacher for 12 hours and to listen to every word and then want to go do something and serve God. Let's go knock some doors. Let's go pray. Let's go invite so-and-so. Let's go invite this person. Let's go invite that. No, I'm afraid that I believe the Lord's coming back. He said when he comes back, he said, shall I find faith on the earth? And I hate to say this, but there'll be some that I would just have to say, no. See, there's two kinds of men. When I call them men, I mean all people. the man that's willing to say, you gonna shoot me? Go ahead. Take out your gun. Kill me. I don't care. I'm going to heaven anyway. You gonna threaten me with heaven? You gonna sick the dogs on me? I've been bit before. I don't care. You're gonna kick me? You're gonna hurt me? You're gonna punch me? That's alright. I've been in a fight before. And then you have the wimpy Christian generation. And they're just wimps. Because all they do is fall asleep during the preaching. That's all they do. They just fall asleep. They're not interested in winning souls. They're not interested in this. They think, we got to come up with a gimmick. 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 No. You just need to invite and tell them about Jesus, what He's done in your life. And it won't be long, they'll get saved. 18 hours. You know what? One guy, I can just imagine. And they went before the ship and sailed to Azios, and they intended to take in Paul, for he had minded himself to go afoot. He's leaving. He's departing. And I can hear somebody go, why don't you preach to us another hour? Just, would you give us a little more? I just want to hear a little more about how much God loves me. I want to hear about the grace. I want to hear some more about the forgiveness. I want to hear about the Lord. I want to hear these things again. One more time. The chapter before, they're having their rock concert. Well, as far as I know, this is the longest preaching session that has ever happened in the Bible. As far as I know. Where Paul preached all night, all the way till the morning. And when he finished, the people said, I gotta hear this guy again. I don't ever know if he's ever gonna come back around here. I mean, he raised this man from the dead. This young man is walking around alive. And I don't know when this old preacher's gonna come back. He may never come back. He may get captured and killed. But I want to hear him one more time. Would you preach to us? Would you preach to us one more time? There was a preacher one time. He's fixing to die. And his congregation stood on his lawn. They started singing. And then somebody started going, preacher, preach to us, preacher. Preach to us. Preach to us, preacher. preach. They wanted to hear their pastor preach. One more time. He got out of that bed, weak, gonna die, and he started preaching. And lay down back in that bed, and he let go. Two kinds of people. The one that thinks it's boring, and the one that says, preach it again. There's two kinds of men. The one that says, I'm ready to meet death. I would be glad to meet death tonight. And then there's some that are scared. What if somebody pulls a gun on us tonight? What if somebody pulls a knife on us tonight? What are we going to do? And then you have others that go, I've been waiting for you. What took you so long? I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for you to take me home, and I'm ready. Go ahead. Pull the trigger, because I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go home. Pull it. Before my body hits, you're going to be in prison, but I'll be in heaven. Two kind of people. Those that want more, and those that want less. They do the least amount to make themselves look like a Christian. If you're going to serve God, do it all the way. Father, we love you. I pray, God, Lord, you'd help us. Help us tonight, I pray.